Next one's more design focused. We've had a few sort of tech topics today. We did talk about the Intrepid logo though. This one's for Nielsen. Now, have you heard of Nielsen before?
The name is familiar. It makes me think of like a research group.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
that's effectively what they do. They measure audience data analytics. Nielsen reports on like what TV channel is doing the best, or
Hmm.
so on. Like that's essentially what they do. Let me share for those who are watching the video what the new logo looks like. Um, I mean, it's night and day, I would say.
I like it.
I
I
think
don't
it's
know what I
nice.
like about it.
It's quite fun, like for a data collection company.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it's nice having sort of those four colors and those four pieces of that icon because, when you think about data and you think about reports, you're wanting to see graphs and whatever else. And usually they have those kind of color differentiations or like little segments. Um, so I feel like that kind of represents that. And looking at further down into all these like gradients and things, it's definitely fun, more fun than I'd expected from the logo itself.
I
I quite
don't know
like it.
why. I don't know why they're being fun though, because
I like that
we're
they're breaking the convention though.
yeah. Maybe that's where it starts and stops in terms of like why you would go down this road. I'm not against it. It just seems like they've also fallen for the trap of all the colors being brand colors. There's just no
Yeah,
the consistency is that there's a lot of colors.
that does seem
Um,
to be a common trend. But yeah, I do like that. I think, as you said, you don't know why they've gone fun. And I feel like that's definitely a mindset a lot of people would have of like, oh, it's data collection. It's got to be boring and bland and gross. But I think that they're sort of saying, well, no, data collection doesn't have to be boring. It's actually quite exciting. It has all this incredible information that you can use. And especially if you're using it for your own branding or your own company, applying those to real world situations, I think is quite fun and exciting um, when you get past the real depths of the data. But once you sort of get X amount of people want to hear this, it's like, well, that's awesome. Let's do something with it. So I do like that it's fun.
I sort of agree, but at the same time, they're not really targeting consumers as a brand. So differentiation again might be the big one. But then again, it doesn't hurt that they've gone with something so unique.
Hmm.
Looking through the visuals, I think I really like how they're using the play button sort of symbolism all
Yeah.
the way through, and how they stack it. And I mean, the logo as a window sort of treatment is a classic usage, but they're doing it quite nicely. Um, but again, very sort of consumer focused with the language around doing stuff together.
Mm. I
I
think on that sort of consumer versus business, B2B or B2C kind of approach, I feel like a company like Nielsen, they would be working with quite large companies in most circumstances. And those large companies are full of humans and consumers and people. So I feel like just because you're going B2B, it doesn't need to be a traditional B2B approach. Because I think ultimately you are still communicating with individuals who will be those decision makers. So if you can communicate to them in the simple way that you would a regular consumer, but maybe with slightly higher level information, that can only be a good thing. I don't think it needs to be boring and bland just because it's B2B, you know?
Yeah, and that's not what I was saying. I guess maybe I don't know. Maybe Nielsen should have just left a few colors for everyone else, because it seems like they've just
Yeah,
taken it
it's
all, and
it's
we don't
definitely
have
rainbow.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't have anything to use it on our own branding and on our clients' branding when Nielsen tries to take them all. But at the same time, it is a fairly B2B business, so it's not they're not going to step on many toes, I don't think. Um,
Hmm.
but nonetheless, a nice approach, an interesting approach. And I think if they were a smaller sort of data science company, they probably couldn't have taken such a bold step in that sort of colorful direction. Like if a small company was to come to us, I probably wouldn't suggest that they try and differentiate so much if they're just trying to cement themselves as a market leader or at least a real competitor. But again, when you're at the top of the market, sometimes you just try something different for the sake of it, or because you can afford to sort of go against the trends, whatever they may be.
Mm-hmm.